from Why Don't People Like Me? And I am here with an amazing woman that you're going to get to know, but more than get to know, you're going to get to love. I want to share with you our guest, none other than our own Roshonda Coleman. Roshonda, tell people
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day today.
I am so excited for today. One, I want to just say publicly to all of our visitors and guests that's coming on, I want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And thank you for sharing your gifts with our people because you have so many things that they have not yet been able to see. But I think they're going to appreciate the things that you will uh, offer them as they peep into your life and today, but as they get exposed to your gifts at the conference, right?
That's right.
Yes, yes. So I want to get out all the logistics real quick. So I want to say to all of those that are visiting us today, please, if you have not done so, we invite you out to be a part of our Becoming the Perfect Me 2023 conference, going to be September 29th, September 30th, and October 1st. It will be on St. Simon's Island at Epworth by the Sea. This conference center is set up for you to be ministered to, deliverance brought to you, and wisdom poured all over you. I promise you, if you make the time out to invest in yourself, you're going to come out changed. The panel that we have this weekend is going to be a panel you have never heard before. You're going to get teaching, you're going to get strength, you're going to get wisdom, but more than anything, you're going to come out being a better you. The conference is called Becoming the Perfect Me because we're going to help you become the best you can be. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, Ro.
Hello, Pastor Theresa. How are you doing today?
I am so good. I'm so good. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to allow those that are a little bit earlier to join us, and those that can't join us early is going to be on record. So I hope they'll be able to see it. But this week, we're going to be jumping in our book of Why Don't People Like Me? It has been an amazing journey. And I know in the teaching, we all are going to take part of teaching this book in different facets according to our own lives. And so we're going to let you peep in to talk about the part that really affects Ro. So we're going to talk about chapter 36 today. And so if we get real comfortable, everyone, and we start just talking, it's just because this is our table time. So we're having a pre-conference at the table, just talking about becoming the perfect me. Ro, we ready?
I am ready.
Chapter 33. And it's kind of like this. This is a good chapter. This is one of my, and I know I keep saying it's one of my favorite chapters, but this is really, really one of my favorite chapters. And it says, what type of example are you setting? What type of an example are you setting? And this one is really based upon Ruth and Naomi. So if I can, I'm going to just read the scripture verse that kind of goes with it, and then we're going to jump in. Is that okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All righty. So we're in class, guys. Let's listen up, okay? Everybody put your ears on, listening ears on. Ready? And then they say, ready. And it just starts like this. And it says, and they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Oprah kissed her mother-in-law. But Ruth clave unto her. And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. And where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people. Thy God, my God. Where thou diest, I will die. There will I be buried. And the Lord do so to me and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. That's Ruth chapter 1, verses 14 through 17. That's huge. So when we talk about what type of example are you setting, to talk about Ruth and Naomi and to say Ruth could have a relationship with a woman called her mother-in-law, and that relationship was so amazing that when her husband died, she didn't want to leave her. She wanted to be with her, and she says, your God's going to be my God. Your people are going to be my people. Where you die, I will be buried. That is a resemblance of true commitment. So if I said to you, what type of examples are you setting? How would you view that statement?
For me, when I think about it, I want to make sure that the example I'm setting is like the same in every area of my life. So not just with my family, but my coworkers, my clients, anybody who encounters me, that they have the same impression of Roshonda, that I'm not one way here and another way there. Like I'm very consistent, is what people will say. I'm direct with my family and I'm direct with my clients. I like to laugh everywhere I go. I can laugh at something that's spot on that you should be laughing at, or something that you should not be laughing at. Like, I am a super consistent person. However, I always think about what am I setting, and maybe it's mostly because I'm the oldest child. So I have younger siblings. So I've always thought about, what am I setting? What am I doing that can be the same for everybody else? So overall for me, like, I just want to make sure I'm consistent. Like, I should not be in a room of people and they all say different things about me. Now, people will have different levels of interaction with me based on who you are. So some people will know me a little bit deeper than other people. However, my clients, when we have client events, they all say like, yep, she told me that too. Oh yeah, she did that for real. I thought I was the only one. Like, she said she did it, but I didn't realize. Like, I just want to always make sure that whatever people say about me is consistent. And I always want to leave, and I get this from both of my parents, a very good aroma, if you will, in the room. I get it from my grandparents. I get it from my parents. Everybody has a positive experience when they think about my parents, my mom, my dad, my grandmothers. Like, everybody loved them. Everybody, I have a lot of traits that's similar to both of my parents. However, overall, I want to make sure whatever example I'm setting, and I know what key traits I look to set. However, I want to make sure it's consistent across the board.
That's so important when we start talking about our parents, because and it's good that you've been able to peep into that part of your life to look at, who do I resemble? What are the strengths of what I resemble? What are the weaknesses of what I resemble? Because both of those traits, they still make me me, right?
Right.
I think about, when I think about being an example, I love when you say, regardless of where I'm at, my reputation is going to be the same. It's really important. And I know that you're not the same person to everyone, but
Right.
not being the same person does not mean you still should not be who you are. Right.
Correct.
That's really important, because we tend to want to be everything for everyone and be the same to everyone, but it's just not possible. Right. It's not possible. Not everybody can handle Theresa, but everybody can handle Pastor Theresa. Well, maybe not even that person, right? Maybe not even that person, right? Because sometimes, when you talk about being direct, not everyone can take direct, right? But being a pastor, sometimes we know how to bring on that deliverance with the ability to have that palatable, right? But sometimes being Theresa, I could just say it, So there's so much truth about that. Let's look into this, because one of the things we're talking about is being a good example is commitment. Commitment. All right. Ready?
Oh, before you go there, my one word for the year is commit. So, we're almost in September, so I'm still working through it. So let's go.
Let's commit it, right? Being a good example. I know with me, being a good example means I have to commit to the things that I said I would commit to, even when I'm tired and I don't want to do it anymore. Commitment helps me complete the assignment that I have for people. And one of the things I have found is people frustrate me. And I don't always want to commit to a promise when I get frustrated. The first thing I want to do is be like, you don't want it, I want it. Hello, America. Let's just not do it together. But that's not commitment, right?
Right.
What is commitment to Ro?
Whew. I would say that the majority of my life, I've actually ran away from that word commitment, and commit, because to me, commitment also represents integrity. So it's like, hey, if I say I'm going to do it, I don't have any other choice but to do it. So I like to pause and really think about what I want to commit to. And so I'm the person that's now like, hey, if 10 people start a project and we say we're going to do it for 8 weeks, I'm probably one to 2 or 3 that finish at the end of the 8 weeks, because I put my word out there that I was going to do it. So commitment to me is stick to itness. I'll make up my own and mix it together. It's having integrity with what you want to say, and it's committing to some things that you sometimes don't want to say yes to. I will say that for me, sometimes I say yes to things that I know I should say yes to, and I have to give my word that I will do it, because otherwise I won't do it. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's
Like,
big.
yeah.
Go ahead. That was big.
Like I know that if me as Roshonda, if I have my choice, I won't do this. So if someone asks me, I have to go ahead and say yes, because I know that I'm not going to go back on my word. And it's something I should do anyway. It's just not something that I'm going to seek as Ro to do, you know? And so I typically have to say yes. Like I have something very simple, like my makeup artist, Victoria. She's always laughing at me because she'll be at my house doing my makeup, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know why I said yes to this. Like, oh my gosh. And she's like, you do this so much, and then like you kill it and it goes well. And I said, because Victoria, I have to say yes. I have to go. I know that once I told that person I was doing it, that I'm locked in. I'm going forward. So sometimes, depending on your personality, if you have one like me, you have to commit to help pull yourself forward. This is a commitment. You asked, I said yes. And I said, Mom, what now? And yesterday I had a total meltdown, have nothing to do with this. The Roshonda of old would have not wanted to do it. But I committed to being here today. I'm here and I'm in a better space because of it. So commitment also, hey, I got something else commitment does. I just kind of came to this realization. But commitment can pull you forward as well. It is a pusher. And since I consider myself a dream pusher a lot, commitment can push you and pull you forward as well. So that's what commitment means to me.
I loved when you said commitment sometimes says to me, to say it makes me committed to the things I knew I needed to do. That was like, oh wow, because you're so right. If I speak it, I know that I have these people around me that will hold me accountable to it and make me get it done. But I have to release it out of my mouth so that I'll get it done. Absolutely. And when I talk about that commitment, it is just so important to know that in my commitment it just builds relationships, right? Nobody wants to be with someone that's not committed to their word, right? Nobody. If you walk into a room with a person and they say, oh, well, I'm going to be able to do this for you. And when I get there, I'm expecting them to be there.
Right.
And to show up, and then the person that you're supposed to meet doesn't show up. That's difficult for me. Right? So commitment and relationship goes together. And it's not just an appointment. It's not just an event. It's a part of the building process. You need relationships, but it requires work.
Right.
That's not about relationships. How do you operate without a relationship? And commitment.
Like I don't know how that's feasible. Like I don't know how that's possible to do at all. To not be in relationship with anyone, not have any type of commitment. You have to be really floating through life and being super unfulfilled. Like I don't even know how you I don't know how that's possible.
It's not, right? It's impossible not to have relationships and be committed. Commitment and relationships go together because people are seeking for things that they know are solid.
Right.
Hey, I'm going to invest in things that I know that I'm going to get a return from. I'm not looking to put all of my revenue, all of my time, all of my expenses into anything that I know is not for sure. Right? I'm just not a risk taker like that. And it's the same thing with relationships. I'm not willing to put a whole lot in a relationship when I know people are not willing to work in my life or build relationships with me. Right?
Right. Right.
It goes both ways. You put in what you want out. And let me go back to this one real quick. And I got to jump in with this one. This part of relationship. I like when Naomi said this one. And she said this. Ruth learned how to honor relationship. She refused to leave Naomi after her husband's death because she may have experienced something in Naomi's life that taught her how to love, how to honor, and how to cherish relationships. I think about this because she's such a good example for us when we talk about relationships. Number one, people don't realize how valuable people are to your life.
Mm-hmm.
And we overlook value in people. And here we have this woman, and people always have excuses for not doing something, right? But I think Naomi made a really good example of Ruth. And Naomi, single woman, 2 children, husband's deceased. Now her 2 sons married 2 women, and she's a widow. And for whatever reason, these 2 women love her.
Right.
They want to be with her, and they're grasping off of everything she says. They learn how to love. They learn how to honor. They learn how to cherish because something she did in the relationship nurtured it. And we have to understand that value. And I think people really are losing the value of relationships. And I hear so many times people say, well, I don't have any friends. I have acquaintances. I don't let people get that close to me. And I tell you, those are real signs for me. And it's like, warning, warning, do not enter, do not enter, do not enter. It's like, I'm not going nowhere. You telling me I'm not wanted.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And, I think that the other thing that was interesting, because, of course, I've heard this passage of scripture before, and I've always said, like, yo, what in the world did they see in Naomi? Like, what was she doing? Like, when I was little, I remember being like, so hold up, she went back home, but she didn't. Why she didn't go back home? Like that's how I was when I read it. Like, one summer I just read the Bible from like Genesis to Revelation. Like, it was just my summer project. Nobody told me. I was just curious. But the longer that I read and the longer that I've heard this message about Naomi's and Ruth's relationship, I was just like, yo, Naomi was good. They was able to actually see her represent and not just be words. A lot of times people can talk a good game, but their actions don't present it. And so they was in a true relationship. They saw her when she was upset. They saw her when she was happy. They saw her when she was sad. And in all those waves of emotions that Naomi would have, they saw that she was still a good person and they were in relationship with her. And you can't get past any of that to me, Like, I always say, like, yo, there's the Roshonda, there's the Ro, and there's the Denise. You can handle all 3. We good.
All 3.
All 3.
I know. They're only going to get the teacher side of you today. And then they're going to get they're going to get that ministry side of you today. But they're going to get the teacher side of you next week when we do our other side that's really going to showcase all the amazing things that you're doing, because people they just don't know yet, bro. They don't know that, your real estate is, you're the $1 million seller, right? They don't know that you can flip a house in 10, right? They don't know this. They don't know the financial backing you have, where you taught millionaires how to manage money. You went through the market. I can go on and on about the talents, the gifts that you offer so many people, the financial advisor that you are, the round table that you have set. They don't have a clue what they at in the room, but I do.
But it's all because I had that ministry. The ministry is what, and all of that to me is a ministry. Like, it's just that my ministry is in the marketplace. But like, hey, a client will tell you we will pray outside the building. We have a hashtag crazy faith. Like, hey, that we're going after it. And it's just who I am. Like, so anybody's gonna always get the ministry part of Roshonda. I'll go from praying to laughing in a second. Be like, oh no, we need to anoint this.
Oh, Ro. Come on, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Ro, let me ask you a question. In learning in your struggles, what did you develop to become a strength?
Persistence,
Mm.
tenacity, effervescence, to have joy in like whatever situation that I'm in. Financial wisdom. I always have to put in my financial wisdom one, because that's it. Integrity. I can tell you that I've had some struggles and some things that I have wanted to go after somebody, and God said no, or handle things in a different way. I've learned how to be. I've learned how to just embrace Ro and to be okay with who I am, and to know that, hey, sometimes you can get someone with your words. Other times you just have to simply hug them. And that was like a big lesson to me. Like, just hug and just be transparent and share who you are and your vulnerabilities and be okay with that. So I have so many different struggles and like the lesson that I learned from it and the part of me that's been developed. Like, I would say, like, right now I'm being developed even more in my patience. I'm like, God, I got it. Like, seriously, can we time out? Can we stop now? But those struggles have definitely pushed me and developed me into who I am. And sometimes I get calls and I get text messages on a weekly basis. I get something from someone that I go like, wow, I didn't know that impacted you in that way. Or wow, like, thanks. Because in the moment that was happening, when I was giving and pouring this into you, like, you don't know what was going on over here. Like, and so I was just like, wow, like really have been able to be okay and be able to pour into others and help others and have a softer side of Ro, that I never thought of. So.
Yeah. In struggling, we don't stop.
Right.
We don't stop. I know in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know a season in my life that I didn't have something I had to struggle through.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it was life or whether it was someone else's life that I began to really partner through. Um, but in your struggle, you don't have permission to stop. And what I found is some of my biggest struggles came when I grew the biggest.
Right.
It was that struggle that really said to me, don't quit. This ain't the time. This is not the time. And you push through it. You persuade yourself to go through it. And sometimes you win with a bare win. You sometimes, it's like, man, I think I lost. I think I might have won. I think I crossed the line. I'm not sure if I did, but I think it's over. And you look back and you say, wow, I really made it. Right? And when we think about what we came through in life and you start talking about it, the talk about what I've been through, it makes what I've gone through appear to be so much smaller than it was when I went through it.
Right. I always think about like the yardstick, and sometimes I'm like, I'm going to go get me a rod, and I'm going to mark my rod after every struggle, so I have something to go back and reflect on. However, I have like a mental rod. I don't really need I'm a minimalist, so then I'll get a rod, and then it'll be like, where can it go where it's not in the way? Like,
I want to see it all the time.
I want to see it all the time. There's a place for everything, and everything has a place. However, like, I remember a period of time where I was on like a vacation, And I was like, I am supposed to be on vacation, and something major came up from a ministry perspective, and I had to exert so much time and energy to it. And when I look back at that process, I go, like, I literally know that I learned persistence. I know I learned consistency. I know that I learned how to be kind no matter what the situation is, how to be firm when firmness was needed, and how to bring people together on just a resolution basis, not a tear you down basis, but I'm very problem solve. Like, I like to just, I'm not the person that's going to see an issue and go like, man, that suck, and go and talk to other people about it. Like, I am very like resolution based. Like, I want to go ahead and do it. But all of that came out of my struggles of wondering how to do something and saying like, hey, let's just go figure it out. I remember I remember, like, so one of your chapters, and it reminded me of a story with one of my favorite teachers of all time, which is Mrs. Green. And my freshman year of school, I somehow ended up in a class with all the upper classmen, so with juniors and seniors. And she was like, this class is not for freshmen. And I was like, well, I want to take this class. Can I take it? And when you were talking about the mentors, like, who are the mentors in your life and what is it? So it reminded me of that chapter and bringing this one too. And Miss Green allowed me to stay, and I would watch Miss Green, and I ended up taking all of her classes. And just because of being connected with her, like, I was the first person in my high school to graduate with all the SEALs that was offered. But she didn't tell me no. And she set an example for me that actually sparked my interest in business. Growing up, I always thought about being a lawyer. So I never was in the business lane, but she was the advisor for Future Business Leaders of America. So I got involved in FLA and started going through that. But that was still a lot of struggles because the whole time I was thinking about Louisiana. Like, so when I look back, I go, wow, that particular instance, that particular situation really helped build the leader that I am today. It really helped build the person that I am, to kind of like bring everybody together when it's needed. Sometimes that gets exhausting though. However, I enjoy it. Like, let's figure out the solution and let's go forward.
Talking about Miss Green, one of the things I often discuss with people is learning who is important in your life.
Yep.
And fighting to keep the important people a part of your life.
Yeah.
I know for me, relationships are huge. They are huge. And some people are very important for me. And I remember when God said this to me, He said, keep important people in your life, because important people are going to remind you of where you're going, why you're going, and they help you get there. Mm-hmm. Important people are meant to stay a part of your inner courts. Mm-hmm. They are the structure of who you are, right? But so many times, important people are the very ones that stay in your space and make you change.
Yep. Yep.
They are in your face, in your space.
Yep. Yep.
Right? And they require so much from you that they are the very people that you want to push away, but you have to fight to keep them. You have to fight against your anxieties. You got to fight against all of your anger, all of your resentment, all of your refusal to change, all of those. I'm fine. And they're reminding you there's still space to grow.
Yes.
Fighting for important people. And I like it when you said it was what she offered that made you fight against the no.
Right.
You have to fight. Go ahead.
I think it reminded me, like, in your book, it has, so on page, well, it says, when you are an example, I'm like, on page 3, when you are an example, you must be ready to be used by God, regardless of the season of life you are in. And when I read that, I was like, when I read, like, regardless of the season of life you're in, that means, like, whether or not you're going through something that's great or something that's bad, you have to be ready to be used and you have to be really ready to make sure that you're the same example. So I go back, oh my gosh, to like just thinking about who am like, hey, Ro, when you're upset, who are you? Ro, when you're happy, who are you? When you're sad, who are you? And how are your interactions with people? And what are you doing? And what type of example are you setting? And
Mhm.
I like literally started right now. I started describing myself in each situation, right? And
Oh.
there were some words that were consistent, no matter the situation. And then there were other words that I know that if the funny thing is when like if I'm upset, the key thing that you hear on the phone with me is, okay, I'm gonna talk to you later. And in the family, everybody knows, hang up the phone. Like, go ahead, hang up the phone. You stay on the phone a little bit longer, you know, you don't know where it goes because I'm a logical person. So even when I'm upset, like as soon as I can like sit down, think about it logically, more than likely I'm cool and I've moved on. But that doesn't show up when I'm happy. That doesn't show up when I'm sad. I was like, when
Mm.
I'm sad, the word that shows up that's different is that I can shut down. So since I know that I can shut down when I'm sad and something's emotional for me, I have to like just go ahead and say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling." Now, the way that that will show up is then people like, "You okay? You good?" Yeah, I'm gonna be all right. I'm just sad right now, but just give me some space, give me some time. And then when I'm happy, of course, when you're happy, everything good. It's positive. But I started wondering, like, what type of example do I set in every stage and every
Mm.
season because of that thing? Because regardless of the season you are in life, you're still setting an example and you still have to do what God wants you to do. So what are you doing? So if I was a tattoo person, like that would be something that I would have tattooed on me.
Mm.
Like, what's going on? I don't like pain. Plus, there's different things about tattoos, but it would be like, who are you? How are you showing up? It would probably be like a mirror, so I can just look at myself and be like, girl, what example are you setting right now? Like, pull it together. And then the other thing was that being a good example for those whom God has placed in your life means you must understand their life is guided by your instructions. So you must pay
Mm.
attention to what you say and use your words carefully. I added, I also need to pay attention to how I look. Because my facial expressions um, are, so it's what I say, but it's also a look that I give you, like, huh? What? But you know,
Dive into that one
huh?
because that's a big one. Dive into that one because that's really a big one for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, I know for me, I'm very, very careful with the people that God have put in my life because I understand that if God has assigned me to them, He has assigned them to me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have to give to them, I know is going to be life changing. So I give them a lot of Theresa, they're going to probably end up like Theresa, right?
Right.
But if I give them what the word of God has instructed me to, then they're going to go through this with stars, right? My life becomes their example so that they don't live in the struggles that I had to succeed in.
Right.
So I love understanding that I have to be careful with being an example, with not only, like you said, what I do and what I say, how I live and what I offer.
Right. Right.
It's big,
Right.
big.
Yeah.
Let's go with this one. Okay, this is big for me. We cannot talk about what type of example are you setting without understanding this area. This is huge for me
Okay.
because I'm going to leave that word off and I'm going to say this one: following instructions.
Mm-hmm.
How can you have or be a good example when you don't follow your instructions or you're not able to give instructions that others may follow?
Yes. Yes. I feel like every strong leader is a follower as well. Like I
Absolutely.
love to surround myself around people who are further along than me that I can learn from. Like that is my judge. Like I am a continuous learner. I am a sponge. And there's a lot I can give you like a ton of examples of like one thing somebody told me and I just went ahead and implemented. Like I am a person that if I'm trying to figure out something, like if I have questions for you, before I call you, I've researched as much as I can. So when I call you, you don't have to tell me 1 + 1 = 2. Like I because I want to go further than 1 + 1 = 2. And then when you take the time and be so gracious to answer my questions, I find it's like almost a lack of respect to not go in and then follow those instructions and follow up and implement it. And I
Pause.
uh-huh.
Repeat.
What I had said was
Lack of respect.
it's disrespectful.
Pause. Lack of
It
respect.
is.
You
It's
know,
disrespectful.
when you're seeking advice, you ask for advice, but then you don't use the advice. Let's talk about it because that's big in your field of study,
Mm-hmm.
where you are a financial advisor, and people are coming to you because they're in crisis. They're coming to you because they need situations resolved. You're giving them answers, but instead of them embracing, they do what?
Yeah, some people listen and some people don't. So a lot of times I ask, like, hey, are you coachable? Like, help me understand who I'm working with and who I'm dealing with right now. And I've realized that I have to share with people that, hey, if you're not someone that's coachable, me and you probably aren't aligned, okay? Because I'm looking that there's some things that I may have to help you through, and there's things that I can learn from you as well. However, we have to be coachable. If you're not taking any other advice, like anybody in my life knows this about me, I am not that person to call and talk about something 50 million times to, because I'm like, so what have you done? Like I'm very action oriented. What have you done? Oh, I haven't did anything. I'm just, calling to talk to you about it again. Oh, okay. So you probably want to go ahead and call somebody else. And I mean, I wrap up the conversation because it's just, I find it very disrespectful. And I don't want to
Yes,
disrespect anybody else in their time. So I can,
absolutely.
I can tell you how many people, like, it's so quick for me to just go through a list of like, hey, I learned this from this person. That person told me this person told me that. I took that piece and I implemented it. Because I appreciate it, because people do not have to take the time out and share. I mean, that's if you're doing something for free or if you're doing something paid. Like, I'm not going to spend my money either and not implement something I learned. Like, there's this guy, James. I don't go anywhere for infotainment. Like I'm not like I'm going somewhere because I'm
Pause the word. New word. New word. What was it called?
infotainment.
Infotainment. You know, I got to write it down. Okay, go.
Infotainment. He said all the time, you've gotten your inspiration. I go put in the perspiration. And it's like, I'm just not going to spend my time getting a whole bunch of information and not doing anything with, even with the book and the journal. Like I was just like, okay, I got a book. Let me read this. Oh, she asking questions. Let me sit down and reflect and do it. And I mean, in each chapter, I was learning more and more about myself. So I'm not going to buy your book and spend my money and then not do the exercises that's in it, because the prompts that you have are so great. So overall, when it comes to following, I would say that every great leader, and I say all the time that I'm a business nerd, okay? And I come from a ministry background, and I've been in church all my life. Like I'm a church girl. So I would say that the biggest thing that I've always saw, the people who have grown the most, and not necessarily when I'm talking about growth, I'm not just always talking financial growth. I'm talking about an emotional growth. I'm talking about a mental growth. I'm talking about a spiritual growth. It's because they were able to follow as well and follow instructions and implement things that people told them. So I will always be afraid of anybody who can't follow somebody else. Like I that person will never have room in my life if you don't have a coach or a mentor or somebody that you feel that you can get something and learn something from. If you,
Can you repeat that one more time?
um
I can't follow.
I can't follow anyone that doesn't have someone that they're following.
That's
That
right.
they'll just never have room in my life. They'll never be anybody. I wouldn't even call them an acquaintance. Like you would just be someone that I can't do anything with, because we all have blind spots that we can learn from somebody else. We all have things that someone else has already walked that path, and we don't have to go through it again. You know, one of the things that's been the oldest, my biggest wish in life, which I've gotten better with, is I know that I put a lot of pressure on my siblings, because they'd be like, hey, I'm the oldest. By the time you hit this age, I did this at this age. By the time you get here, that should be accomplished and you should have 10 it, because you don't have to figure it out. Like, just follow the blueprint. And I had to learn that everybody has their own journey, you know, and you have to give the information. But I follow people every day. I have so many mentors, people I look up to, and things that I work on. I am the Roshonda that I am because of other people. Like it is, I am not standing on anything in my own right. It is literally different people in my life who have poured into me, who I have followed, who I have listened to, who I have implemented their instructions, even when I didn't want to. I did a post recently about selfishness in the realm of self-care. I learned that lesson because other people made me learn it. It wasn't something that I just learned myself. It was, and they still have to push me, and have to go, all right, sometimes I do things just because somebody made me do it. And
Because you spoke it.
I spoke it. I was like, man, these words. If you ever see me pause to say something in a conversation, it's because I'm
It's
like,
coming back.
it's like, what say it? Whoa. So
That's good. That's good. And, I'm really big on instructions. So that's one of my things, whether I'm listening to someone or hearing from God, instructions and following them and understanding what they are.
right.
Right. You got to understand what they are. Don't get one part and say, I got it. And you stop listening. It's like, there's a series of things that you must understand.
Right. God's the biggest
And
person who always giving me instructions. And I'm like, dude. God, you want me to do what now?
I'm with you. I'm with you. Me too. Right. Me too. Right.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's see if we can get through them all. Okay. I'm gonna throw a few more out because I got about 6 more I got to give you.
Oh,
Because we're only gonna do one chapter.
got it.
Okay. The responsibilities of a good leader. What are they?
Oof, heavy. No. Something good is heavy. I think that you have to make sure your emotional IQ is in check, and you're not just looking at it from a task perspective, but you're looking at it from an overall perspective. Like I know that what gives me the most joy, and probably drives people that work with me a little crazy too, right? Is me being able to see people put their own spin to things. And I love to see things birth out of other people. When they're working with me and we're working together. I think that another responsibility of a leader is communication, is to be able to hear what people say and what people don't say. It's to make sure,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's to make sure you're taking their overall well-being, and that you are spending your time on strategies and visions, and that you're clear yourself. Like, hey, don't go ahead and plan and run us down the road and off the road and into a ditch. Make sure you have a clear plan, and that you bring people in to help you develop that plan and you collaborate. I think that for me, I always think that a major responsibility of a leader is to realize that you hire people and have people around you that have their own strength. So you sometimes need to take a back seat and let them lead things as well. And that's how you make it to the finish line, you know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I can say at times, if I'm honest, like there's been times where I shirk from responsibility, where I go like, um, that I'm not sure if I want to take on that leadership position or that leadership role, um, because I feel like it's something that is just, it requires a lot out of you. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you have people in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like I am so family based that I always look at it as like a little micro family, you know. And then when it's time to split, if you need to, from a performance standpoint, that's the business part of me that's coming out. Can't help it. I'm a business nerd. You know, you have to go through those emotions of taking it out. However, I think, you know, emotional IQ is important. Having a vision, having a plan, communicating that, and making sure that everybody is on the bus, understand their assignment on the bus, and you let people flourish in
Mm-hmm.
their assignment, and not overtake everybody's assignment. Let everybody flourish in the area that they're supposed to be in. Then, hey, you're rocking and rolling, and you're ready to go.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Zoom in. Okay. We're still in leadership. The 4 areas we talked about in this book
Mhm.
of leadership was being a good example, trust, being able to be trusted and trusting in leadership,
Yeah.
living what you teach, and living a life example without questions.
Yes.
Being an example,
Uh-huh.
learning how to trust and trust others, living what you teach, and then living life without questions. For me, I'm gonna jump in so I can give you a quick break because I know I flashed our screen and I know how to get back. I
Like,
know.
and I was trying to work with it, like.
I was like, where did I go? They gonna hear my voice with no feet, no face. Being able to be a good example and learning how to trust and let people trust your words. One of the things I had to learn in being a good leader and being a role model and being a mentor was learning that my life was an example, not my words.
Right.
We tend to say one thing, do another thing. But I had to learn how to live out what I released. And so if my words are good enough to be your example, they have to be mine 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn how to trust that what I'm giving was good enough for me. And that keeps me conscious not to put on to anyone to expect something from them that I'm not willing to expect from myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of leadership, and I love when you were talking that having people around me bigger than me always helps me. It helps me. My words was that I always use was, I cannot always be the smartest one in the room.
Yes. Yeah.
I've got to have people around me that's smarter than me.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing that I'm in a room where I have people that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
It's a good moment, but then it creates another moment within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it creates the moment of silence because I have to be silent when I'm no longer the smartest one in the room.
Right.
Because that is an indicator that it's time for me to learn something.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be silent in the room. And that's really important for people to know that there's a season in your life that you need to be quiet. Because if you're not able to be taught, and you said that, and I thought that was so big, people that don't have mentors, I don't trust. It's like people that tell me they don't have friends, I don't trust. It's like, why you don't have any of those? Um, why? Because you have to have something you're willing to change to become.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Willing to change to become. Come on here, butterfly. Oh, sorry.
So that, and then living your life without questions. Living the life without questions. When people question who you are, when they question what you say, when they question how you live, then they're going to question what you receive, what they receive from you. They're not going to receive it openly to say, that's a word I got to live by. They're going to be like, I ain't sure about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to do the research, right? It's like, let me validate it. And that's when they have to have the words of 2 or 3 witnesses, because what you say is not what you live by, because your life is a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that a good
Yeah,
place?
that's a real good place. I think, for me, there's different things that people struggle with, some things you don't. For me, one of the things that my parents would always say is, if she did it, she gonna say she did it. So I never had a problem. One of my struggles in life was never my words matching up with my actions, whether it was a good action or a bad action. It was, hey, yep, I did that. Good or bad. So what I had to learn was, I have a very high standard for myself. And I sometimes don't, not even sometimes, I oftentimes don't pause to like celebrate the wins. And so I do not like to have things not go like very smooth, easy, like and so for me as a leader, what I had to learn was, how do I communicate that vision and that standard of excellence? And how do I get everyone on the same bus and make sure that they all feel the same? Because I've always just been a what you see is what you get. Like, if I did something that I was not supposed to do, I already knew I was going to get in trouble. I was already okay with the punishment. And it was just like, it is what it is. Roshonda, did you hit this person? Yep, I did. Like, it was, that's just always been me. Like, so I've never had to, be too different, have to worry about that. What I've always had to worry about is being the standard, and what standard do I want, and what standard do I want to set, and how do I communicate and get everybody on the bus and on board with that? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Hmm. How do you handle people where you do question them? And what happened? How do you handle people that live in a questionable lifestyle for you?
I mean, in all honesty, I've been blessed in certain ways. And I think it's because I've never had in the beginning, I've never had the patience to deal with people that I just question. Like, if you're just questionable and shaky from an integrity standpoint, like, I literally just wouldn't like deal with you.
That's and that's what and that's what people need to hear.
Yeah.
When you don't have a lifestyle that is clear and it becomes questionable, you lose opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. I mean, you just get, I don't know how many people um don't know how many times that they've gotten discounted from opportunities, even with me, where I go, oh, poor Tink Tink did not know that I've had plan A, B, and C for this person. I was just watching your moves and what you do and giving you something over time. So, because honestly, people just, they don't go with it. So it's just better to make sure that your actions line up with your words. One of the things that I can tell you is, there's countless times that I get comments and things from people that I had no idea was even watching me, and that I don't even know, from across the country. And I'm like, what, for real? That I don't know, that's been observing from afar. And so, like I said, like, Rose gonna be the same no matter which room she's in, and no matter who I'm talking to. I've been fortunate that when I went into corporate America, I was in a program that was extremely competitive and extremely selective. So they would only select 4 people, and then you automatically met with executives and got moved up quickly within the company. And so I would have conversations with people, and one time the CEO of the company, of all the companies, not just the one opco, but he was over everything, asked for feedback, and I was like, "Okay, A, B, C, D, and E," and they were like, I wasn't even a year at the company. And I was like, well, he asked for feedback. Anybody who asks me for feedback, I'm gonna give feedback to. Like, I'm so confused. And but that is Roshonda. Like, Roshonda, if she got a question or she doesn't understand something, she's gonna do. So yeah, I would say that if you see someone that's not being consistent and they're inconsistent, I just cut them off. Like, I don't deal with it. I don't. I do have a problem that maybe you can help me with, is because when I don't deal with the person, like, I really just don't deal with the person. Like, you can stand right there and I don't see you. And God is not pleased with that.
They are not invisible.
They are invisible. I don't see
And
you.
I know you saying it too. I don't see you.
I don't see you.
Later. I'm going to have one more section, okay?
Okay.
This is the last one, okay? Let me read this section, and
Okay.
then let's go into this question, okay? It says, if Ruth was not willing to honor Naomi as her mother in law, she might have rejected her and walked away prematurely. Their example should give us confidence that we can stay and endure until the end. We can make it through the adversities, even in relationships. We have to accept that we may have hardships with new relationships, and there is great wealth in having good examples of committed relationships. My last statement is this: when you know what you're working hard for, when you know that you are in need of change, be willing to stay committed in the process until change happens.
Oh, that's a mic drop right there. Be willing to stay in the process. Be committed until change happens. That's hard, because when you're going through something and you're facing the hardship, you're facing the dilemma. Like, I when I read that, it reminded me of my on and off switch that I had when I was younger. And when I say younger, maybe still like 6 months ago. No, just joking. Not that. But an on and off switch that when it got, like, when I, from a relationship perspective, like when it got hard, or when it was like, anytime I felt like it was arguments, I had to learn that arguments are actually okay. That means that people are communicating truly how they feel, and we're working through it. At one point in time, like, hold up, we're arguing. Like, I don't do this drama and arguing stuff. Like, who does that? Like, I didn't see the beauty of it on the other side. And I would be like, yo, I don't want to argue with you. Like, let's just stop. But I've had to learn to push through the hard times and stay committed to the process, because it is so glorious on the other end. Like, it really is beautiful. So you have to commit to the change that you have going on and just walk your way through it. So I love that statement. When I read this the first time, I got tears in my eyes, and it was like a movie that ran through my, my mind on where I've been and how far I've come out of that space. And I'm telling you, my one word for the year, I didn't know you was going to get on here and keep saying the word commit. However, there's a group of people who know me from across the country that when I went through the one word exercise and my word for the year was commit, oh my gosh, Pastor Theresa, I tried every way possible to make it not be my word and to come up with a whole different word. However, that is my word for the year, is commit, because there are times in my life where I will put on those running shoes and I'll be out. like, like, catch me if you can. I'm running as fast as I can. On the personal side, it's never been business, it's never been ministry, but from a personal relationship perspective. So,
Because relationship is the thing that we fight the hardest for and we fight the hardest with, right?
yeah, yeah,
Relationship is so important, but it's also one of the biggest investments that we offer people, because we ourselves have become who we are because of great people who committed to us. But in order for us to produce who we are, we have to commit to make sure that they get the best of us to become everything that we can be in their lives.
yes. I heard recently, like, if you have the choice between having an investment from a monetary standpoint or an investment from a relationship standpoint, what you want the investment in is relationships. Relationships that one relationship can grow you more than someone giving you $2 million to invest in something, because that one relationship can result in 1 billion. Like, so the relationship piece is key to stay committed to during the hardships, and work through that change. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. This is Ro, consistent everywhere.
Everywhere. I don't care how many zeros you get in your life, right?
Right now, come on, because some zeros, like, let me talk to you about my wealth coach and what he had us do. So yes.
Yeah. Ro, we're bringing you back on one more time before the conference so that people can get a peep into the financial part of you, as well as that business part of you, helping them deposit it into them, that great component that takes you from the here to the wow, right? And
Yeah.
we often talk about this. Money is not the key to success. Commitment is the key to success.
Commitment. Yes. Yes.
Stay committed, right?
Oh, stay committed, y'all.
Stay committed, right? Is the process, right?
Yes.
Is the process. What type of example are you setting? Chapter 33 in Why Don't People Like Me? If you haven't picked up your book, please do so now. You can get it on the website, teresaaroberts.com. But today I had the pleasure to sit with you, my Roshonda Coleman. We know her as Ro, but an amazing speaker that you're going to have the opportunity to hear more from, get more personal, get intimate. And we have our breakout session. So you're going to have that one-on-one time to really talk about the why and the how. And can you do it for me too? This is going to be an amazing, amazing conference. If you have not gotten your ticket, please do so now. We're going to be closing out real soon. All of the tickets that are not sold will be locked down on, I think it's September 25th. So we're getting into that last window. So those of you that have been waiting, you are now at the window where you may lose the opportunity. There'll be no tickets sold at the door. You have to pre and reserve your seating in advance. Do it now. Okay. This is not one of those conferences you can just walk up to the door and say, "Can I buy a ticket?" It's not that. This is set up for success. This conference is meant for healing, deliverance, breakthroughs, and becoming the perfect you. You don't do that by happenstance. You do it with planning. Don't hesitate. Invest in yourself. This was meant for you. Why don't people like me? Pick up your copies today. Becoming the Perfect Me 2023 is coming September 29th. I want to see you there.
Yes.
Ro, thank you for being amazing. Thank you for just being you. You know, I love you, girl. That's
Love you too. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for committing to me.
Definitely.
I love you.
Love you too.
Okay, guys, signing off. We'll see you soon. God bless.